The question earlier was the person needs to be able to take the hat. Let's see, this is the head control. They need to be able to take the hat off of the head, hold it in the hand upside down, and then place it on the table. Now, the question here is, does it have to be placed upside down, or does the hat have to be placed right side up? So he's taking it off this way and then turning it around and placing it down, or is he like rolling it under like a bowl? Honestly, it's not going to be a huge difference either way, but it is going to just change how we approach the constraints. So let's see. And that would be really cool, Intrepid. Animated D&D just game like that would be so much fun. So, as the character grabs the hat, the biggest thing that I would do personally, because the hat is so big, as they grab the hat, I would have the hat control the hand. So they put their hand on top of the hat, and now the hat is the main control, and I'm animating the hat coming off of the head. So that would mean that the arm is in IK here. The posing here is going to be broken, so apologies for that. So we're going to place this here. And the reason I would animate the hat is it's going to be easier to avoid any pops or any wiggles, anything like that. So he's going to reach up, grab the hat. So to get this to work, I can't just constrain the wrist here. I would need to add a locator, at least one locator in there. So I'm going to create a locator right here. Let's scale this up right there. And I need to constrain the arm to the hat. So I'm doing this live. I'm talking to myself to kind of understand what I need to do next. This is what I do when I'm animating, honestly. I just do it in my head, hopefully. Maybe I do it. Maybe I talk to myself live. So in a situation like this, I could do a simple one locator constraint. That would be enough to get this to work. But the problem with that is that I'm going to lose out on the ability to adjust a pivot point. And I want to be able to animate where that hand is and where the pivot point of the hand is in case I need to adjust the hand on the hat. So I'm actually going to have two locators right here. Let's see. I'm actually wondering if I could use 3. 3 is probably overkill. Honestly, 2 is probably overkill. Let's go with 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one locator in the wrist of the koala. So I'm going to match that, take the locator, take the wrist, go to modify, match transformations, and I'm just going to match all except scale right here. So boop, that locator is now right in the wrist, right there. From there, I'm going to take the locator for the hat, move it in place here, probably place it, where's he going to grab the hat? The pivot point is, let's kind of put it here for now. So the way I'm going to set this up is the hand is going to be constrained to the wrist locator here. So select the locator, select the wrist, constrain, parent. This basically gives me a control that acts exactly like the wrist. And this way, if I do need to animate the hand, I've got a proper arm control right there. This locator is then going to be parented to the first locator right over here. So now it's going to follow this one, and I can now pivot it from the palm right there. And then this locator is going to be parented to the hat. Now, this is where I'm kind of leery about this, because this hat is buried into the hierarchy of the rig here. So if I have to ever find something here, I'm not a fan of that. So instead, let's simplify this even more. I'm going to take this locator, duplicate it Let's just zero out the rotations. And I'm going to create a 3 locator setup. This was what I was worrying about at the beginning. And the reason I'm going to do this, let's take this out here. I'm just going to put this locator within the hat itself, like so. And I'm going to constrain this locator to the hat. So take the hat, then the locator, constrain parent. Okay, why did I do that? Essentially, this locator now is going to follow the hat. Wherever I move the hat, you can see that locator is sitting inside, it follows along. Now, I can take my other locator hierarchy over here, locator 1 and 2, parent that to locator 3, and everything follows the hat, like so. And I can still animate everything where I need it to be. So this one is going to adjust there, and I can get that whole segment moving the way I need it right there. So this will allow me to pick up and drop the hat. The way I let go is just set a key on the wrist here, and I have a blend parent attribute, which will allow me to turn that off, and now the hand is free. So the hand goes up, boop. I turn on the blend parent. Now it's holding onto the hat. I animate the hat coming off. Everything's following. If I need to pivot the hand, I've got this locator over here that allows me to adjust where the palm is. And if I need to offset that, maybe I want to rotate from the fingertips, I can do this. And now he is rotating from there. So I've got full control over this. Now, it's always a good idea to name everything. So this is going to be hat follow, and I always add locator for locators. Then it's going to be hand pivot locator. And usually I just put a capital here. This is just my personal naming convention. And then this is going to be the hand offset locator. There we go. So that is the constraint system I would do for taking off the hat. Now, we need to be able to place the hat down onto a table. And the problem with that is that to do this properly, I need to have an animatable pivot point, because I could try to place it onto a table. Let's actually just create a polygon plane right here. Boop. Boop. Like so. If I try to animate this placing down on the table, what's going to end up happening is I want the front edge to contact and then pivot from that point. But the problem is I'm now going to pivot from the center, which means I have to counter animate and move this back and make sure it's not sliding, and it's going to be a pain. I want to be able to have the hat go through, place it down on the ground, and then pivot it from this point. Now, there's a lot of complex ways we can do this, but the simplest is I'm going to create another constraint system to give an animatable pivot point. Now, there's a lot of ways I could do this, but in this case, what I'm going to do is, instead of using locators, because we used locators for the hand, I'm going to re-rig the hat. Now, I say re-rig in quotation marks here because I'm not actually re-rigging it. I'm just giving myself a new set of controls that have a built-in offset control for me. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create 2 NURB circles right here. So let's take this NURB circle right there. I'm going to match it to the hat's position right here. So there's our first one. I'm going to duplicate, make a second one right there. Now, ideally, you would do this while the hat's still on the head in its default position. Otherwise, your translates are going to get messed up. So let's actually do that right here. I'm going to zero this out. Boop, put the hat there, and then match the translations again. So modify, match transformations. Boop, do the same thing on the next one. Right there. This way I can take both of these curves here, go to modify freeze transformations right here. And this resets the translates and scales. Now I don't have to worry about where they are positionally. I can always reset them back into their original place. Now, what are these controls going to be? Well, essentially I'm going to have my hat control right there. And then I'm going to have my hat offset right here. And the way I'm going to set this up is I'm just going to put the hat offset underneath the hat control. And then I'm going to constrain the hat to the hat offset here. So select the hat offset, then the hat itself, constrain parent right there. Now I can take my hat control and I'm animating it just like I would do with the main control. Instead of using this one, I'm just using this one. It's doing the exact same thing, no change. But now when I'm going down to touch the ground here, I can animate it normally. As it's coming down, I can use the hat offset to change my pivot point. So the way I'm going to show this visually is I'm going to take my main hat control, go to display, transform displays, local rotation axes. And that's going to show you right here in the center, the pivot point of that control right there in the hat. So what I can do now is take this hat here with the offset control, place the edge of the hat right on that pivot point right there. And now as the hat kind of comes in, I can animate it from there. So he's placing the hat, boom, touches down on the ground, boom. And I can just add a little tiny slide on that. I've got that rotation in place. If I need it to rock back and forth, it's going to be like an FKIK snap. I'm going to have to snap positions in place, but at any point I can just change my pivot and now it's on the back of the hat. And there we go. Now he's picking up the hat off the table and we can have that whoop, pick up. He gets it up into the air and then I'll just reset the pivot point to the center. And now he's holding the hat exactly where he wants to be. I can even, I love all the D&D talk. That's awesome. I can even move this hat control to the center of the hand. So even though I'm animating the hat, I'm still moving it from the hand itself and not from the hat control. So this is what I would, this is the setup I would probably try at first. And this could have the hat pivot from the top or bottom, anything like that.